Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about the NBA playoffs. Yesterday, there were four intriguing games, and I'm going to dive into all of them in a few minutes. Now, let me tell you, the first game I am going to dive into is the excuse me for the first game I'm going to dive into is the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. Now we can see from the Detroit Pistons as far as bottom, we can see where the New York Knicks they had Mikal Bridges. He had 8 points. OG Anunoby had 8 points. Karl Anthony Towns had 27 points. Jalen Brunson had 32 points. Josh Hart had 14 points. He's strictly out there for defense. Now, one thing I can say is that the New York Knicks, they were very lucky in this game because they didn't have anything from their bench. And you can only see right now where Miles McBride had the only bench points. Now, the Knicks, they have a chance to close out the series at home, and this will be tomorrow night. So let's see if the New York Knicks can continue this momentum and finish the series. Now, as far as the Pistons concerned, Pistons, this is their very first playoff experience in the Cade Cunningham era. I've been saying that ever since this series has started. Now, the Pistons, they had their chance of winning this game. They really did. And as you can see, Tobias Harris, 18 points. Azur Thompson, 8 points. Tim Hardaway Jr., 14 points. Jalen Duren, 6 points. Cade Cunningham, 25 points. Bench production, Paul Reed, 2 points. Ronald Holland II, 1 point. Dennis Schroeder, 6 points. Malik Beasley, 13 points. So, Detroit Pistons, what they have done is they have gotten to the point where they are starting to let games slip away a little bit because JB Bickerstaff, he said game one he felt like the Detroit Pistons lost something there, and they were the better team, but the most important stat is the scoreboard at the end of the game, and they lost. They lost. So now I'm going to go to the statistics for yesterday's game between the New York Pistons, and we can see where the New York Knicks, basically most of the stats were in favor of the New York Knicks. 3-point makes, Knicks made 15 and the Pistons made 7. 3-point percentage, 45% for the Knicks, 24% for the Pistons. Now, I can tell you the Pistons, this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with for seasons to come. But you always need something. You always need something to give you some kind of, experience. See, now we see where the Pistons, they have experience. Now, where the Knicks won this game, it was basically off of just grit because their starting five was better than the Pistons starting five yesterday. And you can see it. Total rebounds, the Pistons plus 16. Offensive rebounds, the Pistons plus 2. Defensive rebounds plus 14 for the Pistons. Now y'all see where I'm talking about, where these statistics are a little bit, misleading. Assists plus 1 for the New York Knicks. Steals plus 3 for the New York Knicks. Blocks plus 6 for the Pistons. Turnovers plus 9 for the Pistons. And that's another thing where the Pistons lost. Having 19 turnovers, you are going to lose every playoff game, every time, no matter what. Points off of turnovers, the Knicks had 15 points and the Pistons had 20 points off of turnovers. So now, when we look at fast break points, the disparity, it wasn't no disparity there, 12 to 15 in favor of the Pistons. Points in the paint, plus 16 for the Pistons. Fouls, equal amount of fouls. Technical fouls, none. Flagrant fouls, none. The largest lead was 16. And for the New York Knicks, the largest lead was 16. And for the Pistons was 11. But one thing I want to talk about, since we got all of that out of the way, the last play of the game, where Josh Hart kind of jumps into Dennis Schroeder. Now that should have been free throws there. That should have been a foul. That should have been free throws. And one thing I can say is that I believe that the referees, they determined the outcome of yesterday's game between the Knicks and the Pistons. We don't want that as journalists, NBA fans. We don't want that as a basketball fan. We don't want that. So the referees in the New York Knicks and Pistons game 4 yesterday, they missed a lot of calls. They did. To be exact, I believe that they missed about 7 or 8 calls that could have went either way, but since they didn't call them, that's the reason why the New York Knicks won this game yesterday. So that's all I have for the New York Knicks. The next game I am going to cover is the Timberwolves, the Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, Los Angeles Lakers, they are my team, but there were certain deficiencies that they could not overcome yesterday. Now we can see where it's everybody in the starters for the Los Angeles Lakers played at least 30 minutes. And you can see all down this line, you have Rui Hachimura, 41 minutes. LeBron James, 46 minutes. Jackson Hayes, he played 4 minutes. Luka Doncic, 46 minutes. Austin Reeves, 35 minutes played. Now let me get on over to their scores. Their scores: Rui Hachimura, 23 points. LeBron James, 27 points. Jackson Hayes, 2 points. Luka Doncic, 38 points. Austin Reeves, 17 points. Bench production for the Lakers: Dorian Finney-Smith, 6 points. Jared Vanderbilt, 0 points. Gabe Vincent, 0 points. Jordan Goodwin, 0 points. Now, one thing I can say about the Lakers is Jackson Hayes, he is not able to move when he is in the Lakers rotation. It almost seems like Jackson Hayes' feet are nailed to the floor, because I have seen this quite a few times. I've seen where, Julius Randle or Anthony Edwards come off of a pick and they get into the paint, and Jackson Hayes, he doesn't know what to do. So what the Lakers need to do is this 8-man rotation, it's not looking good, because when you see outside of Dorian Finney-Smith, he made those 2 3-pointers, and outside of that, you didn't get much from your bench production. You didn't. So I believe what the Lakers need to do is, because we already know that the Lakers can't play defense. We already know that. So what the Lakers need to do is they need to get leads and keep leads. And it's almost like that the Lakers, they almost have to outshoot and outmake the Minnesota Timberwolves in order to win another game in this series. Kind of like how they did in game 2. That is the type of intensity that the Los Angeles Lakers need to come out with for the rest of the series, because You only have game 5. You only have game 5 to think about. I don't want anybody to mention game 6 or 7 because right now we just need to focus on game 5 of this series. Now, one thing about the Timberwolves I can say is the Minnesota Timberwolves, let me tell you, 6 seed, they were underdogs coming to the series. Now they are projected to win this series. Now, one thing I'm going to say is that the Minnesota Timberwolves, as far as their starting lineup, they are a well-oiled machine, I can tell you, because Julius Randle, 25 points. Jaden McDaniels, 16 points. He's strictly there for defense, but he was balling. Rudy Gobert, 5 points. He has the same kind of problem that Jackson Hayes has when it comes to being out in the rotation. Mike Conley, 2 points. Anthony Edwards, a career playoff high to this point, 43 points. And bench production was very critical for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You had Naz Reid with 12 points, Dante DiVincenzo with 8 points, Nickeil Alexander-Walker with 5 points, Terrence Shannon Jr., 0 points. Now let's go ahead and look at this series in its entirety. The Lakers, from a schematic standpoint, they have had a disadvantage in this series. They have. And as you can see from the statistics last night in this game, we already know that, efficiently, one thing I can say is that the bench production played a significant role in this game. And as you can see, the Lakers made 19 3-pointers. The Timberwolves made 14 3-pointers. As far as free throw percentage, advantage Lakers. Rebounds, I'm going to tell you, rebounds, advantage Timberwolves. Now, offensive rebounds, +7 for the Timberwolves. Defensive rebounds, +1 for the Timberwolves. Assists, +4 for the Lakers. Steals, +2 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Total turnovers, 12 turnovers for the Los Angeles Lakers and 9 turnovers for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I'm going to say this, and everybody can look at the remaining statistics, but I'm going to say this about the Lakers. What the Lakers need, they need a consistent big man that's not just a shot blocker, but can also score the ball. Because Jackson Hayes, he is not cutting it. And Alex Len, he is one of the oldest players in the league besides LeBron. And he cannot play 30 to 40 minutes every game. Now, the starters, I noticed this coming out of halftime. JJ Redick, he didn't take any of the starters out. They played the entirety of the second half because he knew how critical this game was. Now, the Lakers are down 3-1. And let me tell you, when it comes to being down 3-1, we all know how playoff series ends in a 3-1 lead. But I can tell you, if there is one person who knows what coming back from a 3-1 lead looks like, it is LeBron James. But let me tell you, it is going to have to be more than just Luka, LA Luka, and LeBron James. Austin Reeves, he has got to play significantly better. Rui Hachimura need to have another 20-plus point game. The bench production has got to play significantly better. Dorian Finney-Smith and a few other players that come off the bench has to play significantly better if they want to keep this series afloat. Because right now, let me tell you, Minnesota Timberwolves, Ant-Man, Ant-Man is a gutter sniper when it comes to the three-point line. And I can tell you, every time I see him shooting a three, more times than not, it goes in. He is the leader in three-point makes throughout the regular season and throughout the playoffs. So the Lakers are between a rock and a hard place. And let me tell you, I'm a huge Lakers fan, but like I always tell y'all, when it comes to my favorite teams, I am not biased. If they have problems, I'm going to talk about them. And the Lakers have problems defensively and bench production wise because the average bench production for the Timberwolves in this series, they've averaged 25 points from the bench in this series. Every game, at least 20 points. The Lakers, every game in this series, at least only 12 points. You're not going to be able to win in a series like this if you are just, okay, game one. I'm going to give y'all the statistics from game one for the bench production, for both bench productions. Game one, 33 points for Minnesota off the bench and only 6 points. Game 22 points off the bench for the Lakers and 17 points off the bench for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Games 3 and 4, the past two games, have been 29 points for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and yesterday, 20 points for the Minnesota Timberwolves in yesterday's game 4 victory. So, game 5 is Wednesday. What can the Lakers do? Because right now, the Lakers, hey, they got nothing to lose. Everybody is projecting them to lose game 5. So what the Lakers need to do is come out loose and don't even think about being down 3-1 because let me tell you, I always say that those closeout games are the toughest games because you have the referees trying to prolong this series, and then you have the players from the other team. They don't want to get eliminated on their home floor. So that is two things that are going to be going against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm just saying, a lot crazier things have happened when a team has been up by 3-1 and then eventually they go ahead and lose the series. Now, I can tell you a couple teams that have lost 3-1 series leads without going to the NBA finals. Now, the Clippers, they have lost two 3-1 leads in their franchise history. So coming back from a 3-1 lead, it can be done, but it is easier said than done. The next game I'm going to cover is the Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic. This series, I said this. I said this before the series started. The Celtics should win this in 5, and it looks like they are going to win it in 5. Now, last night, Jason Tatum, he had a breakout game after not playing game 3. Jason Tatum, 37 points. Al Horford, 6 points. Kristaps Porzingis, 19 points. Derek White, 18 points. Jaylen Brown, 21 points. The bench production for the Boston Celtics, Sam Hauser, 6 points. And that was basically it. That was basically it because the deficiencies that the Orlando Magic have, and I'm going to go to the Orlando Magic, is very, very troublesome in a series like this. When you have players in a series where they are playing against the Celtics and they don't have much scoring punch outside of Pablo Banchero and Fred Wagner, the Magic, they all of the advantages go to the Celtics. The Magic, they don't have any advantages. And you can see Pablo Banchero, 31 points, Franz Wagner, 24 points. Then you have Wendell Carter, 9 points. Corey Joseph, 12 points. Contavious Caldwell Pope, 8 points. Jonathan Isaac, 4 points. This is the Magic bench production. Jonathan Isaac, 4 points. Cole Anthony, 0 points. Gary Harris, 0 points. Caleb Houston, 0 points. And Anthony Black, 10 points. Now, you see where significant deficiencies have pretty much been the kryptonite for the Magic in this series. Let me tell you, nobody expected the Magic to be a formidable threat to the Celtics. We all project that the Celtics are going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And let me tell you, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they might have a chance to sweep Miami tonight. So hopefully they will be able to sweep Miami. But outside of the Magic, let me tell you, the Magic have led in this series, but the Orlando Magic have only led in this series for a grand total of 7 minutes. So 7 minutes out of a possible, I'm going to say, let's say 48 times 5 is 48 times 5. That is out of a possible 240 minutes. So the Celtics have been leading 96% of this series, not just from a scoring perspective on the scoreboard, but from a statistical perspective and from a defensive perspective. Now, let me tell you, the Magic, they are fortunate enough that they won Game 3, because I believe that this series could have been a sweep if it wasn't for the Celtics missing late shots in Game 3. But let me tell you, I can tell you that I always say that when you play the Magic, it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. Now, last year, the Magic went to a 7th game with the Cavaliers. This year, Orlando Magic, what they need to do is, over the past 3 years, the Magic, they haven't gone further than a first round exit. Either coming into next season, they need to somehow improve their scoring production as far as bench production wise. They need to improve their starting lineup, because you need more than just 2 elite scorers to carry a franchise now. So I believe the Boston Celtics will win in Game 5. I have a very tough time seeing this series go to a Game 6. I really do, because the Celtics, they've led for, like I said, they are heavy favorites in this series, and the Celtics are showing why everybody picked them as the favorite to win this series. So the very last game I am going to cover is the final game from last night, the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. So now the Indiana Pacers take a 3-1 series lead over the Milwaukee Bucks. So now the Pacers players last night, this was a very balanced attack last night. When you have Pascal Siakam with 12 points, Andrew Naismith with 14 points, Miles Turner, 23 points, Andrew Nembhard, 20 points, Tyrese Halliburton, 17 points. And let me tell y'all this, Tyrese Halliburton hasn't had a signature game throughout this series. And when I say signature game, ladies and gentlemen, America, world, wherever you may be watching or listening, what I mean by a signature game for Tyrese Halliburton, it means he scores over 30 points. Now, Every game in this series, Tyrese Halliburton has scored either in the high teens or the low 20s. He hasn't had a 30-point game. And let me tell you, he might not even need a 30-point game because the bench production, when you have three players that come off the bench and score at least 12 points, look at this. Obi Toppin, 13 points. Jarris Walker, 12 points. TJ McConnell, 15 points. And then you have Ben Shepherd with his 3 points. Let me tell you, the Pacers, I said that they were going to win this series in 6, but let me tell you, they might win this series in 5. They might. Now, one thing that I can say is that the Milwaukee Bucks, we knew that they were just an average team. We knew that. We knew that they had trouble these troubles go back to their championship run in 2021 against the Phoenix Suns. When they won versus the Phoenix Suns, and I said, everybody, they have to improve their bench production and they have to give some help around Giannis Antetokounmpo. Everybody thought that I didn't know what I was talking about. They were just going to bring back the same exact players, but when you win a championship, you have to improve. You are no longer the team that is hunting for a championship. You are the hunted. Everybody is coming after you because you have what they want, which is the championship trophy. So now we fast forward 4 years later, and the Milwaukee Bucks are basically a shell of what they used to look like back in 2021. Now, this leads into my Milwaukee Bucks topic. Now, last night, Giannis Antetokounmpo played another 34 minutes, and he had 28 points. Kyle Kuzma, 3 points. Brook Lopez, 6 points. Damian Lillard, 0 points. But Damian Lillard got injured. So hopefully he can make a speedy recovery and come back for Game 5 because we need Damian Lillard in this series. We do. Gary Trent Jr., 6 points. Taurean Prince, 0 points. Bobby Portis, 14 points. Chris Livingston, 0 points. Jericho Sims, 6 points. Pat Covington, 3 points. Kevin Porter Jr., 23 points. AJ Green, 9 points. Andre Jackson Jr., 0 points. And Ryan Rollins, 5 points. So when we look at this, we see a team that has significant deficiencies in the Milwaukee Bucks. We see both teams, they are at the bottom of defense as far as defending the basket, and we can see that. So, the last thing that I'm going to say before I do my final take is that the Milwaukee Bucks, no surprise here, I knew that they were going to lose in the first round to the Indiana Pacers because this was the same thing that happened last year. Before the season ended, I told everybody that the Milwaukee Bucks were not going to make the Eastern Conference Finals. Everybody was telling me, oh, Key Time doesn't know what he's talking about. But let me tell you, they almost got swept in the first round last year to the Indiana Pacers. Now this year, currently they are down 3-1. The Milwaukee Bucks are down 3-1 in this series. And let me tell you, I don't even think that they have enough mental fortitude to even will themselves to victory in Game 5 over the Indiana Pacers. So I think the Indiana Pacers will close this series out in 5 games when they play Game 5. And I believe Game 5 is Tuesday or Wednesday night. I am not sure, but Game 5 will be the final game of this series. So now, statistically concerned, Pacers, they had every statistic went in favor of the Pacers last night. You can see it. 60% from the floor, made 18 threes, 3-point percentage 46%, free throw percentage 48%, total rebounds +8 for the Indiana Pacers, offensive rebounds +4 for the Milwaukee Bucks, defensive rebounds +12 for the Indiana Pacers. So that is where the Indiana Pacers won this game, by defensive rebounds. Assists +11 for the Indiana Pacers. Steals +3 for the Milwaukee Bucks. Blocks +6 for the Indiana Pacers. Total turnovers. Now, everybody, the Indiana Pacers, they had a relatively low turnover output last night, 12 turnovers, but the Milwaukee Bucks had 8. Now, points in the paint, huge disparity there. 16 points in the paint for the Indiana Pacers, 2 points in the paint for the Milwaukee Bucks. Fouls, fast break points, 16-2 in favor of the Indiana Pacers. Points in the paint +12 for the Indiana Pacers, 50-38. Fouls, +2 in fouls, and the largest lead of this game was 26 for the Indiana Pacers, which was a blowout, and the Milwaukee Bucks did not lead at all in this game at all. So now when we look at towards the end of the season, because Milwaukee Bucks aren't coming back to win this series. So now the Milwaukee Bucks, they have trade talks that they need to get a hold of right now. You have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has voiced his displeasure when it comes to the construction of this current team. Does Giannis Antetokounmpo want to leave Milwaukee? I wouldn't be surprised if he said that. And from one thing I can say by my sources, it's looking like that Giannis wants to leave, because outside of, I can tell you, since he's been in Milwaukee, the most consistent running mate that he had was Chris Middleton. Now, him and Chris Middleton, this was much earlier in his career, where Chris Middleton, he averaged 20 to 25 points per game. And now Giannis, he's still averaging his 25 to 30 points per game. Now this Damian Lillard experience may have ran its course, and Damian Lillard, he might want out of Milwaukee. So the Milwaukee Bucks, they have a lot of decisions to make in such a short length of time. When the Milwaukee Bucks season is over, I am going to see whether or not the Milwaukee Bucks keep Doc Rivers, because Doc Rivers, we know that he is a good coach, but as of now, he is an above average coach to me right now, because that championship he has won with the Boston Celtics, that was years and years ago. Now we have to look at what Doc Rivers has done lately, because we are in a business where it's about what have you done for me lately. Now, Doc Rivers' track record in the last 7 to 8 years hasn't been good, because he's lost 3-1 series leads, and he has lost series where he has been leading by at least one game, if not more. So Doc Rivers, I'm a little bit on the fence when it comes to Doc Rivers' resume. Now, one thing that can help him out is if he wins another championship, but I don't know how long he is going to stay in Milwaukee. Does Doc Rivers stay in Milwaukee for another 4 years? I don't know, but that is highly unlikely in this situation. if the Milwaukee Bucks lose Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously fans will decrease. Fan attendance will decrease. It will. And also management for the Milwaukee Bucks. If they let Giannis go in free agency, management is gonna have a tough time convincing the fan base that they made the right direction. I mean that they made the right decision. Excuse me. We already see what's happening with the Dallas Mavericks and Nico Harrison. Now, do the Milwaukee Bucks want to go down that same rabbit hole and have their fans having their fans on the fence about what are they doing? What are we going? What do we have to look forward to? Because that's basically what fan bases are thinking about when it comes to a team that gets rid of their cornerstone player and also doesn't get anything back in return. So the Milwaukee Bucks, they have tough decisions to make, and every team that loses in the playoffs before the NBA Finals have some tough decisions to make. And with that, those are my reactions to game fours between the game four of the Minnesota Timberwolves Los Angeles Lakers series, the Knicks versus Pistons series, and the Celtics versus Orlando Magic series. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. Also, we are doing an expansion over here right on YouTube, and we are doing an expansion over on my other show, Key City Sports, on Instagram. So please make sure you like, share, and follow Key Town Sports right here on YouTube, and follow Key City Sports on Instagram. Now that the NFL draft is over, now we are back to NBA playoff coverage. Now we also have NFL OTAs and mini camps coverage we are doing in the coming weeks. And then we have the NBA Finals to cover. So this is going to be a wonderful and gracious time for anybody that joins the show. And I want to thank everybody who has watched the show up until this point, all of my subscribers on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you very much for promoting this. Excuse me. Thank you very much for promoting this show. And let me tell you, this is just the beginning. We are just getting started. And let me tell you, in the next coming months, we are going to have quite some new features when it comes to this show. We are going to have new features when it comes to the background. We are going to have new features when it comes to, as far as statistical stats for every team. Also, we are going to be doing in the next few months, we are going to be doing season predictions for the NFL and teams that have plenty to prove for the 2025 NFL season. But all of that is going to be in the next couple of months. So you want to make sure that you subscribe and make sure that you follow me extensively, because I do reaction videos right after the playoff games. Right after the playoff games, 3-minute reaction videos. So please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. And remember, one last thing, the key is always on time.